the Governing Board Election Special Committee meeting Wednesday, January 7th. It is 9:02, and we will get started. The meeting will call to order, and if you could please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. We do have a quorum. There are 5 of us here. So I will read the meeting procedures statement. The Governing Board and its committees conduct all of their meetings in compliance with Arizona Planned Community Association open meeting laws per ARS 33-1804 and in concert with RCS-CW bylaws, policies, and standing rules. Parliamentary procedures, as outlined in the most recent edition of Robert's Rules of Order, will also be followed in all meetings as appropriate, consistent with Bylaws 3.07, Procedures for Owner-Member Meetings, and Standing Rules number 2 and number 3. Okay. Oh, okay. Thank you. She's probably watching in. Okay, the minutes from the December 3rd meeting, were there any corrections, changes to that? Anybody? Okay, those will stand approved as written then. New business, the January 14th candidate orientation planning. So who participated in that orientation last year? Did anybody, any of you? Steve? And Leslie, okay.
I think just Leslie.
Well, Steve said, okay. Okay, so since I did not, and Ron did not, maybe you could kind of walk us through exactly how that takes place. I would like for all of us to be there if we can. Okay. Leslie said she did last year, and probably Luann.
And Luann. What we did is we went over the do's and the don'ts, here's what the timelines. We went over sorry, it's my toothpaste, very strong. We went over the do's and the don'ts, the procedures, the timelines, and we also had the people that will be helping the candidates there so that they understood where they can post things, where they can't post things. Basically, just how to do things and how to do them correctly and where you can post and where you can't post and who you can contact, where you can contact. That's pretty much it.
Okay. So looking back at the election from last year, what kind of issues came up that maybe were not addressed in the orientation or the candidates didn't follow or were not clear about? Can you think of anything?
I think it went really well with the exception of we had a person that wanted to go in and vote and she was wearing campaign material. And that wasn't clarified with the board then, whether it was okay or not. Other than that, I think it went seamlessly.
And I think we've addressed some of that as well in the years since. We had the T-shirt issues, you know, that came up, and the issue charter club versus non-charter club. But I think all that has been resolved in the time since. So we should be in pretty good shape on those issues, I think.
Yes, I think we addressed all those issues too. And this sign regulations, which is Appendix C to the orientation packet, that's so clear to me about signs and that you can wear your T-shirts et cetera. So, and clearing up what you can where, if you're in line to vote. I think we addressed all those. So it should be, we have 4 candidates. 2 of them ran last year and are currently on the board, serving a 1-year term. And 2 are new, but are fairly familiar with the community and how it runs. So I don't anticipate any difficulties this year. And I think our orientation packet is pretty clear with what they can and can't do.
You're right. I think with the fact that, again, having candidates with history of having done it, this is going to go a lot smoother, and only 4 candidates. So your job's a little easier this year.
It seems a little easier this year. So the orientation is on the 14th, which is next Wednesday, from 9 to 11 in the village meeting room. Candidates are allowed to bring 2 assistants with them, people who are going to help them campaign. Those people do not have to be owner members. So I, again, as the conversation with Karen a bit earlier, I know the governing board president, Christine Novello, had mentioned that she would like most of the governing board members to be there. They're free to come if they want to.
So this is not a public thing, it's in terms of, or is it?
It is, well, we want transparency. Pretty much everything is open, but
Okay.
this is for the candidates, for them to understand the do's and the don'ts.
Okay.
It really, I don't see a need for a lot of people to be there. If we have questions, they should come to one of us. They have my contact information and Ron's contact information. There's an email that they can contact if they have any questions. But with the experience of all of these 4 people, I don't anticipate there's going to be even a lot of questions about it. So, do you have any questions, any suggestions, or are we good to go with just being there and going over this packet with our candidates?
I'm fine with being there and just proceeding. I think it's pretty self-explanatory.
I think with the cleaning up and the streamlining of all of this, the guidelines, it's going to go amazingly well.
Okay.
Quiet, Merle.
Anything? That is 3.01 on our new business. 3.02 is review of the governing board election documents. You all have handouts for that. Let's start with the petitioner packet. We had presented all these to the governing board, and they approved it all with the exception of they wanted to change a couple of words in a couple of places, from residents to owner members. So if you look at that packet, it's highlighted in yellow, the paragraph that was changed. So on page 5, the very first paragraph, it just says, governing board of the rec centers is responsible for setting policy, overseeing management and operations of the RCSCW. The governing board of directors consists of 9 owner members. That's where that was changed. And then the next paragraph down below, also in highlighted, does the same thing. Additionally, owner members rather than residents. I think that's a good change because only owner members can vote.
And also that's the way that the rec center chooses to define residents as owner members. So it's consistent with the rest of the documentation within the governing board of the rec center.
Yes, it is, and it's pretty clear. It makes it clear to tenants and to associate members they are not eligible to vote. And then on page 9, Again, owner members. And that was the only change we had in the petitioner's packet. And in the orientation packet, same thing. Page 2. The first one is comprised of 9 owner members who serve as the volunteer governing board in our community. And then the next one is the board sets the policies under which our association operates. There was another clause there that said something about oversight, and they wanted to remove that. So I have no problem. We work under the policies of the association. That's what we do, so. And that was the only change in that. Same thing in the election guide. Page 3, changed residents to owner well, actually this was a little bit different. Owner members are categorized as either owners or owners owning more than one property, which is an investor. For the purposes of the election, investors receive 1 vote for each property they own. It does not change the meaning of what was there before. It just specified that an investor is an owner member. They just own more than one property, and as that, they get more than 1 vote.
Needed to be specified. We ran into that last year.
Okay.
So that clarifies that.
Yes, yes, it does. And again, on page 5, changed from resident to an owner member. To be eligible to vote, the member must be an owner member. The person's name must be listed on the property deed of trust, deed of record. There should be a period right there. I believe that was it. That was it. So, any comments, objections, corrections, anything? Okay, we will let the governing board know that we have accepted all those changes that they recommended. Now, the 3.03, or the recommendation, the governing board election timeline changes. You have that in your packet. So this came up in one of our meetings early on in the fall about the length of the election cycle being 5 months. And that seemed like a really long time, pretty drawn out. And could we change that cycle to be shorter? So the recommendation is that people pick up packets the first business day in January rather than the first business day in November. That way you avoid all the holidays. And leaving the date for the return of the packets to be a little bit flexible. And the reason for that is depending on what day the first business day of January is, and what day the vote will actually take place in March. Because it could be March 31st, the last Monday, or it could be March 22nd, back it up a week. So in order to give them plenty of time to get their packets turned in, they need at least 30 days. So the recommendation is the petitioner packets and bios must be returned to the governing board executive assistant at a date specified by the election special committee, but no less than 30 days after the petitions are available. And again, depending on what day the vote actually takes place, you back it up, because the prior Thursday online voting ends. The Thursday before that online voting begins. Before that, you have the meet and greet. Before that, you have the forum. In the past, there's been a week's separation. So that was a 2-week process. If there is enough time, you could leave it that way, or you could have it the following week. You don't need to spread it.
Yeah, you can
Compress it.
Yeah, you can compress it. I think that would work a little bit better too, 'cause a little bit better flow is if that date is, say, the 25th instead of the 35th, it still will allow you the time to get the election in, the online election weekend, and then go to the actual in-person voting. So.
Yes. And the way it is now, the meet and greet usually is the day before online voting begins. And I think people are interested, and they're aware. And to me, the forum, having it at the week before, that kind of makes sense to me too, rather than that 2-week span.
Sure.
Okay, so Merle, I think you had some concerns about the time.
I do. And I recognize the holiday issue. And I mean, I suppose it's 2 ways to look at it. It's an issue. People may not be here. But I'm also looking at, okay, our deadline was January 2nd. Today's January 7th. Have the candidates been announced to the community yet? I don't think they have. I looked, I couldn't find it.
No, I don't think they have yet. It will be coming out shortly. I know.
And see, my concern is when you look at the amount of time that the community has the opportunity to ask questions, it does compress that amount of time where it really could be minimal time available. Again, I know there's other factors, and there may be factors that I'm not even aware of, but it seems to me like we might be going too far the other way. Just a thought.
So I had Katie run some timelines on when they could get information into the Rec Center News. That's the biggest issue. But it can be on the Facebook page, it can be in the e-news, it can be in the Independent. This year, we're offering candidates an opportunity for the Munchie Monday on February 17th. I think there's enough time for them. I think people are going to be more aware and involved if people don't start campaigning until February. We'll know back in September. We can set our dates, knowing what day the election is going to be, to make sure they've got as much time as possible to campaign and as much time as they really need to get their signatures. Like I said earlier, we had candidates this year that within a week they had their signatures. So I don't think shortening that cycle is to 30 days or a little more. I don't think that part is a problem.
See, and I looked this morning, 2 questions have been submitted. The candidates haven't been announced. And I guess it would be interesting to actually, and maybe Katie did play with these numbers and I'm not aware of it, but perhaps that doesn't cut that cycle down. But when I looked, it looked like it could cut it down up to 3 weeks, where there might be time for, because you have to have a time for the community to submit the questions, the committee to have a meeting, and then to have the, not meet and greet, the forum, yeah. So just a thought.
So if the petitions have to be in by February 5th, say, just to choose a date out of the calendar. Knowing in advance what that's going to be, we can schedule photos, orientation, the video, we can get that done in a week. And they can start campaigning.
See,
I
and
think they would have, it might be 3 weeks, but I think they'd probably have 4 weeks before we need those questions for the forum, if we cut the forum down to a week before the meet and greet.
It didn't look to me, and again, I'd have to go back because I looked at it initially and then I didn't go further on it. But it looked to me like there wouldn't be a month for that to happen before the forum.
I don't have my calendar here.
Hey, Lynn.
Yeah,
Question,
Steve.
I submitted a question last week because it came out online. They're already soliciting questions, so I just decided to do that.
Okay.
But I think, you know, if we develop a timeline earlier, we could put that in the Rec Center News in December, so people are aware of it, even though they aren't gonna do anything because of Christmas and everything, but at least it raises the awareness that the elections are coming.
Right.
And if the dates are in there, potentially, people can see that, although they probably won't do anything. But January, everything gets moving along.
Mhm.
I think a big factor that we saw last year is the fact that with 12 or so candidates, it was crazy. This year with 4, you know, from the standpoint of analyzing people, it's a whole lot simpler, you know, from that standpoint. So some of it depends, I think, on the number of people who are running, but with enough publicity ahead of time, people are at least aware of the time frame, and it can be compressed into the 6 or 8 weeks to make it pretty easy, because when people are coming back here, as most people do that have left, that you know, they would be able to know ahead of time and kind of jump right into the process. So I don't think it's going to cause a problem for people who would be aware of who's running, analyze people with the different processes that haven't changed what we're doing, and then let people vote accordingly, having figured out who they want to vote for. So.
Okay.
One of the things I think we need to keep in mind is the election cycle and voter fatigue. If it's going to be like a presidential, a national thing, and the longer we draw our process out, the more people just go, you know what? I'm done.
I've heard it.
Yeah, just get it over with.
That was
This,
something that I heard over the last year as well. Granted, we had, like Steve said, you know, the 10 candidates that we had last year, but that was an outlier. We've never seen anything like that, you know, before. So compressing it will keep I think keep the interest higher. I understand your point in terms of timeline, getting everything done, but I think if we let them know far enough in advance that we have, you know, compressed this somewhat, it gives them more of a sense of urgency to get things done on their end as well.
right.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought, I wasn't aware of the final date, but I thought that it was posted in December this year, that the question was open, so that was already done. And I would only say last year may have been an outlier, but it could happen again. We could be in that situation again.
Yes, it could, and it could happen that we don't have enough candidates too, so hopefully that won't happen. So, any more comments or concerns? So I'm going to ask whether you agree to make this recommendation to the governing board. Shall I bring it forward to them, yes or no? Ron?
Yes.
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 Okay, thank you, I appreciate that. We'll see how it goes. I think it will be good. All right, so that concludes our new business. We have absolutely nobody in the audience today. Any other comments from the committee?
I think I'm looking forward to it even more this time as opposed to last time, just because it seems like it's going to be, you know, a smoother process. You know, when we get to to the candidate forum and that sort of thing, we'll be able to focus really intently on the 4 candidates as opposed to the 10 and the back and forth that we had. If I'm going to do the same thing that I did last year in terms of moderating that, that'll make my job a lot easier. So, looking forward to it.
All right, thank you very much. Our next meeting will be February the 4th.
Kathy, just for clarification, on the 14th,
Yes,
it is your goal that not we all come, but if we can come, it would be nice to have all the board members there.
it would be nice to have the committee members there if you can come. Like I say, not mandatory, for sure.
Sorry to do this, but February 12th, I'm getting a new knee.
Oh.
So it probably won't be here unless I can bring my own old knee and put it on the table.
Okay, candidate orientation is January the 14th, so that's next week. And then in February the 4th is our next meeting. And then at the end of the month, it'll be preparing for the forum. We have 2 closed meetings scheduled for February the 27th, I think, and March the 2nd, whatever those dates are. But those will be in the, I think, in the governing board offices. Not sure, I'll let you know where those are. Those will be closed meetings for us to go over the questions for the forum. So you should be good. You should be all healed up by
Yes.
the end of
I
February.
like this. I don't want to miss it.
All right. All right. Thank you very much. Meeting adjourned.